Hey guys, I'm going to be talking about the real cost of rental properties and what landlords don't tell you about. Everybody talks about the cash flow and how it's so great, but they don't talk about the hidden costs. So I'm going to break it down line by line with this spreadsheet. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to go to the first one, which says vacancy. So you always want to account for just a portion of the year that you're going to go without vacancy. Or I guess with vacancy, where it's going to be vacant and no one's going to occupy it. So I did about 8%, which means that's about 1 month out of the year that you're going to be losing profit essentially because you won't get rent for that month. And so I just do 8% of whatever the monthly income is. So that way it's kind of incorporated per month. And then if you divide it monthly, then it actually totals up to just 1 month. Then I go to maintenance. This is just very standard maintenance, like smaller issues. Like, oh, there's a drain that's clogged, and you have to call a plumber and they get it fixed. I just do 5% of the total rent. And then if you notice, I just do 5% here. If I have all my formulas in the second blank, that totals up the actual cash value. So that'd be $100 and $160 just for the month, which this is an overestimation. So you just absolutely know every single hidden cost. And if you account for all these, and let's say it's actually $400 cheaper, you're going to have a pretty big smile on your face. So the next one is going to be big repairs. That would be like any HVAC or furnace, anything like that, any kind of system, maybe even wiring. So what I do up front is I actually make sure I'm like, hey, let me double check all the utilities, all that kind of thing. HVAC, furnace, AC unit, when was it next? When it was service next, plumbing, wiring, check all of that. See if there's any issues that's going to cause a big repair, because getting a new furnace or anything like that, you're probably looking at close to, depending on what quality you're getting, you're probably going to be like anywhere between 3 to 10K for the most part. It could be more, it could be less. But for the most part, I do about 10%, so that gives you about $200 a month just in case it's a big repair. That should accumulate over time, so that'd be almost like a safety net. And then I skipped over something about vacancy. Basically, I always try to schedule this out way beforehand. I actually have my current lease for my rental. It's about to come up in, I think it's 8/1, and I already have tenants ready to come in next year. So in about 8 months from now, I actually already have people ready to move in. They're excited about it already, and they're already like, basically, when can we get in? So I always do that just to avoid the vacancy. You really want to make sure, hey, there's no month that we're missing out on, because that would be, for this one, I just said about $2,000 for total rent. Like if you have 4 or 5 bedrooms, that's very achievable. So you definitely don't want to miss out on $2,000 and just be missing out on $600 on the mortgage and property taxes and all that. So let's keep going, and I'll talk about insurance costs. I'm actually in the field of insurance, so I actually know this pretty well. Usually the cost, if you just do a 4 million GL with maybe a landlord liability policy if you own it, that's what I would recommend. I would do like a 4 million GL, and then try to go with lower deductibles, and I'll probably detail that a little bit more into another video, but I wouldn't worry about it too much, because you're probably going to be about 80 to 120 depending on your risk. The insurance company should talk you through it. And then it usually increases by about 10% every year. So probably 8 to 12% is probably what your renewal is going to be for insurance. So next year it'll be 110. After that, it'll be 120. So it's always going to be increasing on you. Excuse me. And then property taxes, I actually just totaled up the assessed value of the house. About 2% of what the assessed value is, or the most recent assessment, is going to be the property taxes for the year. So I did the total value of the assessed home, and then 2% of that, and that actually comes out to be $2,000, which is 166.66 per month. So that gives us a little estimate on the expense per month. And then there's about a 2 to 5% increase every year on property taxes, depending on if you get assessed or anything like that. And then I just did $100,000. If you can do $100,000 for a house and get 4 or 5 bedrooms, great. That's going to be the best profit margins you're going to see, is because, oh, your mortgage is going to be $600 and you're going to be able to rent it out for $1,800 to $2,000 a month, and then maybe even have them pay most of the utilities, or at least one or two of them. I mean, you're going to be saving a lot of money with that. Okay, and then I always put this on here, it's management. So it's just in case if you want someone else to manage it. Typically, it's anywhere between 10 to 30% of the rent coming in. So I always allocate about 10%. Of course, I don't want to do that. I want to do it myself. So I'm actually going to save that money right off the bat, but it's a good thing to have just in case you change your mind later. So, and then we're going to go to utilities. I always put water and sewage in my name, because if it is in the tenant's name, they can actually get a lien on your name based off of it. It's a very weird situation that you just don't want to be a part of. I'd rather pay the $100 per month and charge them $100 more on rent and just not even worry about it. You do not want to get into legal cases. You want to avoid it as much as possible. You want to avoid liens on your name. You just want to avoid all of that. So I definitely recommend keeping water and sewage in your name. Okay, and then we're going to go to the mortgage. I just put in 600 because I had it on I did it on my rental tool up there, and I just did for 100 grand, it's about 611. So I can change that real quick, just make it a little more precise. And then for 4 bedrooms, I'm charging about 2,000. I think 1,800 to 2,000 was the rental range that it had on Zillow. So I think I'm going to charge 2,000 next lease term. And so that gives us kind of a good estimate of probably 2,000. Anything more than that, probably going to be a little steep. It's going to be hard to get a whole lot of people's interest on that. And then with the expenses, and of course we're blowing this way out of proportion. Hey, we're adding 10% here, 10%, 10%, 8, 5. We're doing all these percentages that are not consistent expenses, but they are hidden expenses. They're not something you think about or anything like that. So, or even increases or property taxes. I mean, there is a hidden thing with property taxes that no one really talks about too much, is what if the person had exemptions on it? So there's 2 exemptions that I've recently came across, is if there's any VA extensions on a house that you're prior to you buying it, you'll lose that exemption. So if you have the Homestead Exemption Act and someone has a VA loan or a VA exemption on it, then you're actually going to pay about triple the amount of taxes that they did, because you don't get that exemption. So the Homestead Exemption Act, let me just break it down. Basically, the exemption for homestead is basically if you live in it. So if you live in it, and they actually give you a discount on your property taxes every year. And so it's a pretty good deduction. It depends on the value and the value of the property taxes and all that. But you get a discount for that. And then you also get one for if you're a veteran. So depending on the VA, you can actually get both of them, and they stack, and then you save quite a bit of money on property taxes. So if someone had that beforehand, they're going to take that right back and say, nope, you don't get that deduction because you don't qualify. And so they're going to just give you what the standard was before that. And most of the time when you buy a house that's been on homestead or VA for quite a long time, it hasn't been assessed. So they're going to assess this value. It's going to jump up, and you're going to lose the deduction, and you're going to be hit with a huge increase in property value, because they always go up. So you're actually going to be stuck with oh crap, this is 3 times the property taxes that Zillow estimated, because that's what it's been doing. So that one's a little hidden one. Just if you stuck around this long into the video, there's a little hidden trick for you, is always take a look at the property taxes, because you don't want to be paying 4 times more than what you used to, because you're like, oh man, this is what I calculated. It's 100. Now it's 400. So definitely keep that one in mind. Okay, we'll keep going past the mortgage. We said about 611. The rent income, we're about 2,000. I said probably about 4 or 5 people in there. Mainly college kids. They're gonna pay 2,000 and be like, okay, 500 each for each room. That they're gonna be happy with that, and it'll probably be quite a bit cheaper than single family homes, or I guess single room studios. That's gonna be $750 to $1,000 at most places. So why not do 500 and everybody's happy? 500 per person is not bad at all. Um, and then we're going to just look at the total expenses. I tallied it all up, so you can see my formula. I did C2, C3, C4, and then C8 over here. Oh no, C6 is... Oh, I might not have left... might not have put that on there, but C2, C3, C4, C8, which is 200, and then B5, which is insurance, B10, which is mortgage, D6, there it is, okay. D6 is the property taxes, and then C9, which would be utilities. So we covered all of that. It's about 1,637, so I just did, down here I did the income minus expenses. We're about $362 in profit. That's about $4,000 per year. Not bad, but most of the time you won't see these even being affected. I've had a house for, this most recent house was 4 months, and I have not had any maintenance problems. I do need contractors to come out there, but I haven't had any small maintenance problems. So that's $100 you're saving per month right there. Okay, and then so we have the 1% rule. So not a lot of people talk about this. So the 1% rule is how much rental income you're actually going to generate is minimum going to be on average, it's going to be about 1% of what the total purchase price is of the house. So if you have a purchase price of $100,000, you can probably rent that out for about $1,000. See, if you have a $200,000 house, you can do about $2,000. Now that is a very small window, 100 to 200,000, before it starts tapering off and that 1% is not real. I would say between 100 and 200, it's pretty accurate, but there's a little loophole in there. I mean, I always try to go for 2%, of course, but the loophole is how many bedrooms are you renting out? I mean, there's a skewed number in this because it could be a single family renting it, or, I mean, you're just not renting to college students. So what I think the trick is to look for something that's $100,000 to $150,000, and you're going to be trying for that kind of 1.5–2% range, where you can generate probably close to $1,800 to $2,000 a month in rent. That's what you can charge. But the trick is doing those 4 or 5 bedrooms, or even doing a duplex. A duplex with 5 people on each side, you can easily charge $2,000 for 5 people. That is very easily, if there's enough space, if the bedrooms are big enough. There's two bathrooms in there, 5 bedrooms. Then if that's on each side, you're looking great. I mean, you can really charge $2,000 each side. All of them throw in $300 towards utilities, or pay everything besides for water and sewage, and you'll be making a killing. I mean, it's going to be hard to get that for $100,000, but definitely this 1% rule. Try to go a little bit above the 1%. If you can stick around $100K in total value of the house, and then also get about 4 or 5 bedrooms, you'll be looking really good for profit per month. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was the minimum $300 cash flow. So with all this information, with all this broken down, you want to be $300 minimum cash flow before all this. So you want to know, absolutely worst case scenario, can I be profitable with $300 more with all these expenses? The answer for this one, yes, absolutely. You have $62 left over after our minimum. So you're actually above the line that we set. I mean, of course, if you can do higher, great. But so the next thing that I wanted to talk about was probably one of the most important things is you don't want to make these decisions without looking at the spreadsheet. If it doesn't make sense with the spreadsheet, let's say you're only making about $60 a month from this spreadsheet right here, with including everything, that's not bad. But let's say you took all these away and you just did the absolute necessary expenses, and you were profiting about $300 a month. I mean, that's not ideal in any way. So this is definitely a good cushion with, okay, 362, with all expenses, and then with only the necessities, maybe you're getting around 800. I mean, I think that would be a really good spot. I mean, just with management, you're losing 200. So you'd be at 562 already. And then let's say there's no big repairs for the first year. You're going to be at 700 plus. So I think that's really important to know that and not take every single option you have. I mean, if you have one great house, you really fell in love with it, and you look at this and it's just not good, you have no urgency. You can do this at any time you want. You just want to make the right decision. So if it's really not that profitable, just skip it. I mean, I love the last house I looked at, but it just didn't make sense. I mean, I did this spreadsheet and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. Like, that doesn't make sense. And it really sucks to kind of shut yourself down and be like, no, you can't do that. But I mean, if you stick to this and realize, okay, it's not about how much I like the house, it's about how much I like the profit. So I can retire early and actually have these houses to manage and enjoy that kind of job, then definitely stick with the spreadsheets and go through them and listen to the spreadsheets. Don't get too much into it about liking the house and, oh, I have to buy this house. I made whatever, you know. But the other thing that goes along with that is the value of the house. I mean, we've seen the housing market go up and up and up, and then it's actually just came down a little bit recently. So who's to say it's going to jump right back up again? Or let's say the stimulus check that's supposed to be coming next year is going to shoot the price up again, because that's kind of what it did last time, because everybody has money. They're like, oh, now I have a little extra $2,000 in my pocket. I can maybe get a down payment out for a house now. Maybe that puts them just on the tipping scale, and now they can put a down payment down on a house, and then now they own a house. That might be the case, but the main thing that I want to explain on this is I always offer 40 to 30% less than what the house is listed for. If I look at that, I mean, I'm going to see, okay, $200,000 on a house. I'm going to run the numbers and I'm going to see what makes sense for me. So I do have the rental tool that I talked about in my last video, actually my first video. And so if I run the numbers and I say, okay, the cost is $200,000, and then I look at the mortgage and it's probably going to be $1,100, then it's like, okay, how much profit am I going to make per month? And it's going to be, okay, none. I'm going to lose $5 or something like that. It just doesn't make sense. So I'll plug in the number that I think is desirable, which is about that 40 to 30% less than what the value is. Then it actually looks a lot better. So if you can look at houses that are maybe 120, 150,000, and you get around that ballpark of maybe $90 to $120,000, if you can talk them down even 20, 30K, I mean, you're going to be looking a lot better off on this spreadsheet. So I really want to stress the importance of offer low, and if they say, no, we don't want to deal with you, we're not even going to look at that, fine, just move on, keep looking. I mean, don't feel any urgency with this. I mean, the right moment will come, and that it'll pay off that you were patient. Because if you jump into something and don't think it through, you're going to start realizing, wow, this isn't even really paying for itself, and that's a really big deal in rentals. So I definitely urge you, yeah, you'll own the house in 30 years because of the mortgage and you're buying it, but you want it to cash flow first. So I really urge you to look at your best possible option and give low ball offers out there. Give them 40% of the value, give them 30% of the value next, and then they might get mad at you and they might say, well, we're done talking to you, but that's fine. That doesn't bother anyone. I mean, you just say, okay, thanks, and then you move on to the next house. You say, oh, this one matches my criteria. Do the numbers, and you say, okay, if I get it for $105,000, then I'm going to be profiting $800 on the hard real costs spreadsheet. So if you can profit $800 on here, you can profit $1,200. I mean, that's with this 200 and then 200 here for big repairs. Or if you're just really good about vacancy, there's $600 right there. So, I mean, realistically, do not take the first option you see. And honestly, I urge you to go and check out houses and check them out all the time. Go to house tours all the time, and see what the options are, and plug it into the spreadsheet that I actually provided it in the first video. I think I'll attach both of these, the real cost and the rental tool, in the description of this video. But I really think it's very important to be super selective on these houses to make sure you are making money and you're going to own it in 30 years or less. So with everything like that, I think I've went through all the breakdowns for every single line by line expense that people don't necessarily talk about too much. So if you like the video, please subscribe, please like the video, please comment if you have any questions. I respond to all the comments. So if you want me to take a look at any properties for you, I can always do a video specific for you, or I can respond to the comment and let you know what I think the figures are. So yeah, thank you guys for your time.